Welcome to my kitchen. I want to share with you today a very simple weeknight, any day of the week recipe basically. So this I probably do maybe once every other week as opposed to every week. It's super simple. Couple ingredients which I'll show you a close-up of, but I'll just tell you what they are. I've got some ground beef sirloin here. I've got some veggies, onions, peppers, garlic. Got some diced tomatoes in some tomato puree, paprika, chili powder, some tomato paste, and a nice little trick that I learned a couple years ago, courtesy of Nom Nom Paleo, and I've had it since, I've been using it since, is fish sauce. Not a lot, but it adds a nice umami flavor to it. So, and I've been using it for a couple of years, love it. All of my chili and ground beef recipes tend to have it in there. And of course, you're going to need a high point or high smoke point cooking oil, or whatever you have available that's gonna work. What this is all going to go into is my instant pot. I'm going to do a little prep with the veggies and the oil first, then add the meat, and then let it sit with everything else for about 15 minutes. And just like that, dinner will be done. So head over here with me to the stove and check it out. Here's a quick recap of the ingredients. Make sure you've got your onions, bell peppers, garlic, diced tomatoes, your seasonings, your fish sauce, the oil, the beef, and the tomato paste. Now start by selecting that saute function on your instant pot, and then you're going to add your oil once you get indication that it is hot. Be sure to swirl the oil around so that it covers as much of the bottom of the instant pot as possible, because we don't want our foods to stick. And then once that's heated, we are now going to add our veggies, specifically our onions and bell peppers. Hold off on adding the garlic. Right now we just want to get our onions to be a little less opaque, or rather we want them to be translucent, so we're not going to spend too much time with it here, or rather we're not going to cook it all the way through. We just want it softened enough so that we can incorporate our beef. And now we add our beef, and we're going to try to break up that beef as much as possible. Now a quick word of caution: when you slide your beef out, your ground beef out of the package, be sure to take off the backing that's underneath the package, but especially if it's the paper, because you don't want to end up with paper in your food. The mistakes do happen, so just be mindful of that. Now we're going to break up the ground beef as much as you can. Ideally what we want here is to get some of the pink out before we add all the other things. And while we're breaking it up, be sure to add your salt. And we want to get as much of that pink out of it. There's still a little bit left, and when you have a little bit left, this is where you add your tomato paste and your garlic and your chopped garlic. Here we just want that garlic to release some of that fragrance. We don't want it to burn or anything. That's why we don't add it in the beginning. So here we just incorporate it enough for it to be fragrant. And then we're going to add our seasonings, so that your chili powder, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, if you want to add those, and stir that in. Make sure it is fully combined. It is going to dry up any liquid that has been produced, but then we're going to re-add a liquid through those fire roasted tomatoes. Incorporate those tomatoes just enough till you see everything is incorporated, and then get the cover onto your instant pot. Set it for 15 minutes. There's a beef chili function, and let it run. When it is done and has been released naturally, the steam has been released naturally, you're left with beautiful ground beef in fire roasted tomato sauce. Enjoy it.